IQ is the 19th episode of the 6th season of Frasier. This is directed by David Lee, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. And it starts off in Frasier's apartment. He and Niles are dressed quite fancy, and Ross comes over with baby Alice as Daphne is watching her. They're going to a silent auction. But before they go, Daphne is currently chatting online with Donnie, bringing Frasier a little bit more into more modern times. And while she's busy, she asks Niles to type out a reply, and Niles accidentally, on purpose, makes it go bye-bye. So it's nice to have that confirmation that they're still dating. It's nice to just get a little bit of detail there without focusing too much on it. And also nice to see that Niles is still not feeling great about the situation and is willing to be petty about it. We then go to the silent auction, and there is an auction for having dinner with 3 Nobel Prize winners, and Niles bids on it, and when his back is turned, Frasier bids on it using his non-diploma. And meanwhile, Noel is bidding on spending time in the booth with Ross, and Frasier and Niles get into a bidding war over this Nobel Prize winners' dinner, and just in the last second, Niles writes down the last bid, his winning bid, of $4,050, and he panics because he didn't mean to spend that much. And they actually decide to add a second seat at the table because of the keen interest, so Frasier now has to pay the $4,000 he bid as well. So, well, as Frasier points out, they've just spent $8,000 on dinner. And Frasier and Niles go back to his apartment, and they're talking about how their rivalry, their competitiveness clearly got in the way this time as it has done before. And they mentioned that when they were younger, they had IQ tests, but their mother never told them the scores because she didn't want one of them, I guess, to feel inferior or superior to the other. And Niles asks Martin, "Do you know what our IQs are?" And Martin responds, "No, but I got a pretty good idea at the auction tonight," which I thought was an absolutely fantastic response. And he had a great point there. You can have a high IQ, but it doesn't mean you're going to behave in a way that's rational and intelligent, as we saw with Frasier and Niles, which I thought was quite interesting. And meanwhile, Daphne tells a story about the tow fairy, and then Frasier and Niles come back through with Martin's nostalgic box of keepsakes, and they find the IQ tests. And Frasier scored 129, and Niles picks up his paper, and he just said, "It's higher." And Frasier congratulated him on a score of 131, because apparently their mother had told them that they were only 2 points apart. And, well, I was going to say I'd be really annoyed if it was only 2 points, if your sibling beat you by 2 points, but also it's only 2 points, so that's basically the same. And I think that would be fair enough. But apparently Niles is higher, and his was 156, which seems quite a lot higher. And Frasier tries to not let it bother him, but he ushers Niles out, and Frasier ends up going to the library, and Niles watched him, so he went to the library, and he's sneezing from the dust of the books, and they go to the dinner for the Nobel Prize winners. And, well, it's a bit of a disaster. Their competitiveness basically ruined that evening for them. So, all round, it was not a great auction and prize for anybody. And they end up finishing the episode with a nice conversation with each other about how, yes, they've been competitive, but that competitiveness pushed them to be the best versions of themselves, pushed them to go to the university that would set them up with their careers, pushed them into their career paths. And I think that it really helped to highlight the episode as a whole that, yes, competitiveness is going to ruin situations in your life. It's going to ruin events. It's going to get in the way. But also, let's look at the positives, and having a little healthy competition is not necessarily a bad thing. And I like that the episode was a bit balanced there and really showed us both sides of that. And it was a lovely moment between them. And even more lovely when Martin came into the kitchen and he praised them for their cooking. And it was adorable to see their faces light up. It was very sweet. And then the episode ends with Martin barbecuing out on the balcony with Queen Elizabeth. Daphne was dreaming. A bit of a bizarre ending, but it worked well. It's a fun episode. I think there are some great comedy moments, but I also think it addresses some really important topics about competitiveness and the pros and cons. I like that it took a more balanced approach there. Am I surprised Niles has the higher IQ? I don't think so. I don't think I'm surprised by that, but I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that. If you watched this for the first time, did you expect it to be Niles? I feel like within the context of the show, I think it made sense that it was Niles because obviously the show is Frasier. It's all about Frasier. Frasier gets all of the attention. As we know, sometimes Niles can be a little bit jealous of Frasier's celebrity status. So had Frasier also had the higher IQ, it would have really created this unfair balance. Whereas, yes, Frasier is the more famous one, possibly the wealthier, maybe, but Niles has the higher IQ, and I think it just creates a bit more balance. So I don't think I was surprised, and I definitely think it was the right decision. And ultimately, it's a great episode. IQ is a really enjoyable episode of Frasier.